Hi, Gigi with my thoughts for today. And today, well, my first thought for today is I hope everybody had a great Memorial Day. The rest of my thoughts for today will revolve around Trump and China and tariffs and Walmart. That's a specific topic for today, but there's a general topic that underlays the whole thing, and that is, well, basically a plea for honesty from the president. Maybe he should just get behind the Oval Office desk and have a little talk with the American people and just square with the American people. Just be honest. And to be fair to him, on the other hand, maybe he's just not honest with himself, or he's in denial, or as you'll see in a moment, we may be past denial and we may be into cognitive dissonance. Now, just to be clear, I support what Trump is, which will be one of the other points. I support Trump using tariffs to get free trade, fair treatment from our trading partners around the world. European Union, China, of course, we'll be talking about today, India. And, I don't want to get off that. It's not germane. What's germane is that what recently happened was, a few days ago, Walmart announced that because of these tariffs that Trump raised on China especially, or maybe China's exclusively, Walmart was going to have to raise their prices. And because of the tariffs. And Trump said, no, I don't want you, he just says, I guess he just makes these demands, which I don't think are fair for him to make, because these are the results of his policies, and the tariffs, which he's not admitting, and he's saying that Walmart, or he's demanding that Walmart, and I think because it's Trump and because he's the president of the United States, acquiescing to this demand from Trump to eat the tariffs. In other words, he said, he sounded like a Democrat. He said, Walmart makes billions and billions of dollars. They can lower their prices. They can eat the tariffs. Now, one thing he doesn't understand, he's in real estate. He's still a businessman, but the profit margin, I'm a licensed real estate broker, take it from me, the profit margin in real estate is enormous, especially when you're at Donald Trump's level. When you're talking about a business like Walmart, not so much, right? And they're very tiny. I know, like the supermarket section, their margin is something like 1%, 1.5%. And the reason Walmart makes billions is because it is so large. And so they make billions, but they make a tiny bit on each little product, but they sell so much, the quantity. But if they lower their prices, automatically, if they lowered just a little bit these prices, then their whole profit margin just disappears. And it doesn't matter that the billions of dollars will disappear very, very quickly. But that's not the main point. But that is a point that Trump should understand that. And if he doesn't understand it, Scott Bessent, somebody should explain it to him. But that he sounds like a Democrat, where they just say, everybody makes all these profits. And actually, I'm going to have to do an aside here, because this about profits, because the same thing, Peter Drucker, if you don't know who Peter Drucker was, he was a so-called management guru. He just wrote a lot of books about management, how to run businesses, and he made a very important point, which maybe I'll return to in a separate vlog. He said, there is no such thing as profit. And he's right. He said, there's no such thing as profit. There is only insurance against losses. And that's what does he mean by that? What he means is, take somebody like General Motors, or the car industry, when we had the financial crisis in 2008 or whatever, and all these auto companies, I don't remember which ones. I think Ford didn't need a bailout, but there were other ones, they needed a bailout. And what did they need? They needed a bailout because their profits disappeared, and they lost they were losing money, and a lot of people would be out of work, and the government bailed them out. We, the taxpayers, bailed them out. because they didn't have the money. Why did they not have the money? Because of the taxes they pay, the profits. If their taxes were lower, if there were no, which is what I believe in, no corporate tax, if there were no corporate tax, they would have been sitting on a multi-billion dollar rainy day cash fund, and they could have carried themselves on their their savings through any crisis. And that's what Drucker meant by insurance against losses. That you make these profits, but these profits, well, it's just like in your regular life. I mean, it happened to me. There was a time when there was a recession where, 2008, that was a time. In 2008, 2009, when things were really bad, and I was a freelance word processor in those days. I was freelance. I didn't have a regular job, and the work just dried up, and I had to live off my savings. But if the government had a high tax rate and all my profit, that's what it is, profits, your wages and savings, all my wages were taxed away, so I couldn't save anything, then I would have needed welfare. But fortunately, I had my savings I could rely on, and it's the same thing with corporations. That's what profits are. It's money that they could use to get themselves through bad times, because there's good times. The Bible, 7 fat years, 7 lean years, and you save your money. You need that, whatever you get for those 7 fat years, to get you through those 7 lean years, because they are going to come. So now, getting back to Walmart, I had to put that digression in there. Forgive me. I know I get criticisms for going off on things, but I record these on the fly. I don't write a script. I'm very busy. I take a few minutes out of my day just to rant. But getting back to Walmart, so he said he wants them to eat the profit. And the first instinct to me was, well, why do they have to? I mean, eat the increase. And I said, what increase? I thought China was paying the increase. He was talking about we're getting billions and billions of dollars, hundreds of billions of dollars from China. So if we're getting billions of dollars from China, then the tariffs to Walmart is zero. They're not paying any tariffs. China is paying the tariffs, right, Mr. President? That's what you said. And of course, that is not true. And if he still maintains that, then I guess it's either denial, but I think because he's an intelligent man, so it must denial, but I think it's cognitive dissonance, because anybody could explain that to him. I would hope somebody like Peter Ducey from Fox or somebody would ask him and put him on the spot on this and let him explain. Because what he should do, and this is what I mean by honesty, is, well, World War II, FDR, American people had to make a lot of sacrifices. There were ration books. You could not just get all, say, the sugar and flour or whatever, certain things. Rubber was in short supply. It was needed for the war effort, for the soldiers overseas. And FDR explained that there would be sacrifices, but it was for a greater good. But he hasn't done, and we're not talking about anything on the level of a world war or even a minor war. And Trump should just say, well, we have these, in order to, in the long run, get fair trade, whatever the issue that he's trying to solve, the tariffs, we have to make sacrifices, and a lot of things that are going to you want to buy, you're going to have to pay more, and it's all it is. But that's a sacrifice that it's worth. But ideally, just don't buy those products that are too expensive. And that's what he really should be saying. You'll have to go without. You may be going out without a lot of products that you want, but just be assured the necessities of life, food and shelter, that's available in America. So you're talking about, well, just be square with the American people. We're grown-ups, and tell us what we all can see. To me, it's the mirror image, or it's a reflection. It's the same as the Democrats were doing with Biden's cognitive dissonance. We all could see it, and you had the press and the administration especially just denying that anything was wrong. And you have Trump now saying that China is paying billions and billions of dollars. Well, if that's true, then why is Walmart raising their prices? And he could be a Democrat and accuse them of price gouging, that Walmart's prices are not going up. I mean, their costs are not going up. They're just using the tariff dispute as an excuse to raise prices, which is totally false. But that's one alternative, and the other alternative is just to admit that we are paying. The tariffs are a tax. Tariffs are a tax. That's how we supported this country with that before we had the income tax. It was exclusively from tariffs, and that's because tariffs are a tax. Do you really think that all the countries of the world were supporting the United States? Well, if that's true, then when we pay tariffs, when we pay a tariff to the European Union, we're supporting all the countries of the European Union. And if that's true, then why not just get rid of the tariffs and we all support ourselves? You see how it goes around in a circle and how ridiculous it is. So, Mr. President, you should be honest and just tell the truth. And like I said, if you don't understand, get Scott Bessent or somebody, or even Peter Navarro. He's kind of hopeless. He's an economics professor, believe it or not, he was, and he should know this. I don't know what he knows. I wish that Trump would fire him personally, but I mean that both ways. I mean, I personally think you should fire him, and when I say fire him personally, Trump should call him into the office and, like his old TV show, Peter Navarro, you're fired. But none of you are fired. In fact, you're all hired, and I'd like to hire more. So if you could subscribe, if you haven't already, that would be great. Share this video with anyone you think would benefit from it, and urge them to subscribe. And, your thoughts always welcome in the comments section below the video. But most of all, come back and see me again. I'd love to see all of you again. And until I do see all of you again, bye.